Thank you. New year, new theme, oneness, a day at a time, a day at a time. The spiritual principles, I always like to get started with the message with a few spiritual principles known as What We Believe, written by Ernest Holmes. You can get a copy of the spiritual principles. What we've done with the spiritual principles, or a group of people did, is they added some additional meaning to the principles. And so if you get our newsletter, get involved, stay inspired, you can download the copy that I have. So it has some more words and all that. So this morning we are working with spiritual principle number 1. We believe in God, the living spirit, almighty one, indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. We believe this one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. Simply, everything is God. Spiritual principle number 7. We believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. We believe that I am one with God. There is no intermediary. It's a direct line. Spiritual principle number 8. We believe that the universal spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind, which receives the direct impress of our thought and acts upon it. We believe that nothing happens to me. It either happens by me, through me, or as me, as a result of my own thinking. And finally, spiritual principle number 5. We believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete freedom from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. Simply, we believe that I cannot change the world. I can only change myself. And yet, I can be an inspiration to others. That truly peace begins with me. That's what we believe. So, many of you know I am a Reverend Ike fan. And Reverend Ike, who some of you know, was the only, or as far as I know anyway, was one of the only black men who was teaching metaphysics, right? So if we think 30, 40, 50 years ago, really there were no women in the pulpit. So he was the only one teaching metaphysics, which was so completely different from what everybody else was preaching and teaching. And with his wide recognition, he faced a lot of objection, he faced a lot of rejection, and yet he was just so unapologetic and clear in his preaching and in his teaching. You know, he was on Oprah, if you remember, Phil Donahue, everybody interviewed him. And so, I think the kids today would say, he's a real one, you know what I mean? He's that. And so I remember, and now lots of his videos live on YouTube, and so you can have an opportunity to experience him. He has books and all this, but I remember hearing him say in one of his video recordings, he said, the most important thing in the world, when he said that, it drew me in. The most important thing in the world is what you believe about yourself. The most important thing is what you believe about yourself. And Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of religious science, also known as United Centers for Spiritual Living and International Centers for Spiritual Living, that is now Centers for Spiritual Living. Ernest Holmes, who also wrote the Science of Mind textbook that we, those of us who are part of Centers for Spiritual Living, primarily have a focus on. There are many, many texts and books and things that that people draw from and pull from, but they're all metaphysical teachings. And in this book, he has compiled things from different religions, science, and philosophy, and he's, kind of compiled it, found what was central and similar in all of it, and put it in the book. Okay. I'm saying all that because some people don't know all that, okay? All right. So he also has lots of videos on YouTube, and you can see and hear Ernest Holmes in his own voice. And he is famous for saying there is a power for good in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. A power for good in the universe, proclaiming its availability to all. A power for good in the universe. Meaning it's available to you and it's available to me. And so the question then becomes is, do you believe that you are an intelligent being with the power to change your conditions and your circumstances? The most important thing is what you believe about yourself. Do you believe that you have the power to change your conditions and to change your circumstances? Not just that you can do something to change something. You might have that belief. But do you have the belief that you are something that can change something? That's two different things. Two different things. Do you believe that you are an intelligent being with the power to change your conditions and your circumstances? Especially, as Howard Thurman would say, when you have your back up against the wall. Do you believe it? Do you believe you have the power to? When there are no seemingly options available, who do you believe that you are? Well, this is of great, great, great importance to us. Those of us who are practicing metaphysicians, those of us who are practitioners. It is of great importance because at some point in time, or I can just say every day, the option or the choice that is available to us is this. And we have to choose. We can feel sorry for ourselves, or we can believe in our power. Feel sorry for yourself, or come to believe that you are an intelligent and powerful individual. That's the choice. So, if you believe that you are powerful, then there is a way for us to consciously, intentionally, and conscientiously to change our conditions, right? We're not just doing this with our eyes closed. We're not just throwing darts in the dark. We're changing our conditions consciously and intentionally. Let me say this, though. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. Joe Dispenza, who has done research, he's a scientist, he's done research about how all of this stuff kind of works on the inside and has proof that when we change our thinking and change our feelings, we can change our conditions. He says this about change. He says that the hardest thing about change is not making the same choices that you did yesterday. not making the same choices that you did yesterday. And that he also says we're going to have to become someone new in order to be able to make a new choice, to think a new thought, and to feel a new feeling. So that means you're going to have to become someone other or someone greater than your current conditions, or think greater than your current conditions and your current circumstances. Because it's not simply enough to announce that you've become someone new. It's not enough to say that I'm not who I used to be. That's not enough. You got to become someone new. Meaning we've got to act. There's some action on our part. There's something that we've got to do. And in this, then, ours is to become more and more aware of what we are feeling and what we are thinking. We all know this now. To become aware of whether or not we are engaged in the act of remembering or if we're engaged in the act of creating. We are doing this whether we are picking out our clothes, deciding on what food to eat, or something greater. You have to be aware. So if we find that what we are feeling and thinking doesn't align with what we are saying that we want to experience, then we've got to think a new thought and feel a new feeling. We've got to let go of our old thought and our old thinking. And if you're not sure or not willing to let go of your old thought and your old thinking, you at least have to be willing to set it aside long enough for a new thought and a new feeling to enter in. And we do this until conditions change. Until there's a change. We do this until we get the house. We do this until we get the job. We do this until we are experiencing love, until we are experiencing peace, until we are experiencing joy. This is our work. In the Science of Mind textbook on page 54, in the foundational teachings, let me get my pages right, yep. Ernest Holmes wrote in the section, How to Use It, he says this. He says, the practice of the science of mind calls for a positive understanding of the spirit of truth, a willingness to let this inner spirit guide us with the conscious knowledge that, quote, the law of the Lord is perfect. And we, end quote, and we must believe this to be a fact. And so far as our thought is in accord with this perfect law, it will accomplish and nothing can hinder it. Heaven and the earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. That's found in Matthew 24:35. Said the beautiful Jesus as he strove to teach his disciples the immutability of the law of righteousness. And then on page 59, Ernest Holmes says, a practitioner consciously removes the apparent obstructions and leaves the field open to a new influx of spirit. He resolves things into thoughts, dissolves the negative appearance in condition by recognizing only perfection. The practitioner must know and must state that there are no obstacles in the pathway of truth. He must know that his word, being the activity of the truth, removes all obstructions from the pathway in his life or for another, for the one whom he is working for. So, as we come to think a new thought and feel a new feeling, we have to know that that there's power in that. And that there is intelligence and power in us to be able to do that. So, we do this, as I said, until we are starting to experience the good. This good that we've been talking about. Until there is an experience, we do it. And we call this good that we are experiencing, we call it heaven. We call it heaven. And our theme for the month of January is one step at a time to heaven. Right? And so we've been using the book, The Foundational Teachings of the Science of Mind, to help us identify the steps to heaven, to help us in deciding how we're going to live our lives. Are we going to live our lives feeling sorry for ourselves, or are we going to live our lives believing in the power that is within us? Are we going to live our lives feeling sorry for others, or are we going to live our lives believing in the power that is within us? That is what is before us. And so we've been focused on the foundational teachings to help us with creating the blueprint, how to do this. And so we said step 1 is trust. Step 2, believe. Step 3, receive. We've got to trust that God, that the universe, that the thing itself, that this infinite intelligence, that love, we got to trust that it is. We've got to trust that it is what it is, that it is law, that it is powerful, that it is creative. And we've got to trust that we are what it is, that we are powerful, and that we are creative. We've got to believe, it informs what we believe about ourselves, which we know is the most important thing. And we have to believe that we partake of its nature. We have to believe that the good that is available to me. This good is available to you. We've got to believe that life is for us and not against us. We've got to believe that everything is working together for my good, in spite of what's happening out there. Reverend Ike said it doesn't matter what's happening out there. What matters is what's happening in here. It doesn't matter. And so, the only way then to come to change what you believe is to receive a new idea. The problem is that most people don't want to receive a new idea, meaning most people don't want to change. What we want to do is we want to change them and everybody else but ourselves. The only thing that God in the universe gives, imparts, and tells is an idea. That's it. That's it. And it's not that the ideas are being created. The ideas already exist. When we say there are infinite possibilities, they already exist. And so ours is to take it, to receive it, to believe it, to understand it. So last week we realized and said that the only way really then to really receive a new idea is to feel it. Feel it first. Because feeling opens us up. And the only idea truly that anybody can manifest is the idea that lives inside of you. So you've got to feel it. It's like this. It's taking a moment, a minute, an opportunity to feel what it would feel like in your life if all of your needs was met. If your relationships were harmonious, to feel what it would feel like, to feel what it would feel like to feel whole and complete. What would it feel like if you were in the right career, the perfect opportunity for you to express and to support yourself in life. What would it feel like if your finances was in a place where you wanted it to be? You got to feel it. What would it feel like? You know, as I said, you got to fool yourself up on the feelings. You got to fill yourself up on the feelings. And once the act of filling yourself up on the feeling is being engaged in the act of choosing. So you got to choose it. When you think about it, when you feel it, you're choosing it. Step 4, choose. 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 Step 1, trust. Step 2, believe. Step 1, trust. Step 2, believe. Step 3, receive. Step 4, choose. We do this choosing over and over and over and over again. It's the self-care that Barbara read about this morning and everything else. But we do it over and over and over again. You can consciously choose or you can choose unconsciously. But it is what we are doing. It is a matter of deciding how you're going to live your life. And taking the time out to decide how you're going to live your life, it is a matter of calling back a sense of self-worth. That's how we become worthy. Through choosing, through consciously choosing. Because here's the thing, chance is not sufficient. You have to choose it. As a matter of fact, this is a side note, right? So, when I'm not here, when I'm long gone, and y'all be like, oh, remember what Reverend Twana used to say? Wherever you say, I want you to say, this was her word, this was her thing. Chance is not sufficient. Chance is not sufficient. Y'all got it? Chance is not sufficient. You have to choose. You have to choose. Ernest Holmes, in the Science of Mind textbook in part 4 of the foundational teachings, he says, there's way too much theory and not enough practice. Whole lot of talking about it, not too much walking the walk, Will. You know what I'm saying? A whole lot of time in the head and not enough time in the heart. A whole lot of time telling people what you know and what they should do while you're not. A whole lot of time spending in judgment. A whole lot of time being petty. And not enough practice. Ain't making no choices. Real comfortable telling somebody else how to live their life. And not enough time believing in what you are and who you are. The most important thing in the world is what you believe about yourself. Are you powerful enough when your back is up against the wall to choose? To choose. Two things in this. You have to be aware of the times when you've given your power over to another, consciously or unconsciously. You didn't make the choice. They made the choice for you. You got to be conscious of that. We have to be conscious of where we're spending our time and the people we're spending our time with. And you are full on the feeling, and you go and be around somebody, they talking about everything bad. Did you hear about the shooting? Did you hear about the people who just stole the packages? Did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? You do. I'm sorry. It's not going to be easy. You do. That's why people don't want to choose. But see, I'm here today, as Reverend Ike was 50 years ago, to make you aware. Because when you're aware, it's easy. It's easy to go back, but it's not easy to forget. It's in you. You're aware. You got to be aware of how you're spending your time and who you're spending your time with. Second point, if you want something to change in your life, you have to name it. You have to call it forward. You have to call it forward. You got to name it. Peace. Whatever it is. If you want the red car, say, I want the red car. You have to name it. The thing with naming it is then you feel it. Because we all associate what we name with a feeling. And some of us don't want to feel. So we want to choose. But you should tell your neighbor, you can't skip the steps. You can't skip the steps. Step one is step one. Step two is step two. Step three is step three. And step four is step four. And you start over. You can't skip the steps. The other thing is, in choosing, in deciding what, you have to let go of worrying about how. You have to stop worrying about how. Just keep choosing. Don't worry about the how. Just keep choosing. Let go of the theory and practice. The practice is choose. 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 Feel sorry for yourself or believe in yourself. Choose. Choose. Inaction or action. Choose. Choose. What's probable and familiar and subject to change? Or choose what's possible and unknown but is always the same. Choose. Choose. Choose to stay the same or choose to change. Choose. Make a choice. Choose chaos and confusion or harmony and order. Choose. Choose. Choose to pretend that it's over or do the work so you can get over. Choose. Choose. Now that you got what you want, but don't want what you got, choose to change them or choose to change you. Choose. Change it and chance it, or change you and choose it. Choose. Choose. Choose to take and to never give, or choose to give and be open to receive. Choose. Choose. Choose to blame or choose to take responsibility. That's it. Choose. Choose. Choose to beat yourself up or choose to forgive yourself. Choose. 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 Choose lack and limitation or choose abundance. Choose. Choose. Choose to stay the same or choose to change. Choose. Choose to feel sorry for yourself or to believe in yourself. Choose. Let's practice. And here's how we're going to practice. First of all, we're going to take a few seconds just to get ourselves anchored in feeling and filling ourselves up with the feeling. And how we're going to do that, I want you to just start to think of one or two things that you're grateful for. Be grateful in this moment. Everybody, online, in the building, take a moment just to be grateful. Find something to be grateful for. You're breathing, be grateful. You can hear, be grateful. You can see, be grateful. You woke up this morning, be grateful. Whatever. Now that we are full of the feeling, allow something to come to mind for you in whatever area of your life where you are being called to choose. Is it with your health? Is it in your relationships? Is it in your career? Is it in your finances? We are all called to choose. Get clear just about one thing, around one thing. Get clear about what your choice is. And choose. Choose. Choose to feel sorry for yourself or choose to believe in your power. Choose. As we bring our attention back, let me assure you that in making the choice, that what follows our choice is a deep, deep sense of expectancy. What follows our choice then is a letting go of any anxiety. What fills us up then is a deep conviction. What's happening is that the law then is activated and is acting on your behalf. And simply, all you need do is affirm that everything is working for my good. Life is good. Everything is for me and nothing is against me. That's how you use it. It's the work and it's the way. It's a way of life. It's a way of life. Practitioners, if you would, simply just join me as we move into prayer. simply today, let our prayer be thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm aware. Thank you. I trust. Thank you. I believe. Thank you. I'm open and available to a new idea, a new thought, and a new feeling. Thank you. No longer feeling sorry for myself. Believing in myself. Believing that I am what it is. This power that is available for me. Is available for you. To choose consciously and intentionally. Thank you. I'm aware. Thank you. And so it is. And so as we journey on throughout our week, don't be skipping steps. Step 1, trust. Step 2, believe. Step 3, receive. Step 4, choose.